She'll take us through the next 15 minutes. And yeah, curious what you have to share with us, and we're excited for your presentation.
Thank you very much. Perfect. Can you hear me? Perfect. So basically today I want to talk you through a different vertical of RWA. It's very closely when we think about RWAs, real world assets. If we think about real estate, arts, financial instruments. But actually, there is actually one vertical that is actually more interesting for us and will impact our everyone's lives quite soon, I would say. This is a machine economy. So basically, what is a machine economy, or what kind of does it enable? It enables machines to transact autonomously with each other, right? This could be done by a crypto, but it could also be a centralized sector. We need to discuss, think about, what is the kind of future that we actually want to see, want to support, what is actually a future that will be in the best interest of humankind, so to say. But basically, when we think about transactions, we can say, okay, it's before the mentioned also cars, we also pay, for electricity, charging stations, drones and airspace, we can have also sensors or AI agents, that could also transact in this machine economy backbone. And where I believe where free would really make a difference is that when actually leads to seamless, trustless, and secure transactions, right? If we do it right. So we always need to think about this. Some parts of Web3 are more decentralized than others, less decentralized. And only if we're really fully decentralized, we can really speak about security, because otherwise it's just not worth it. It's a kind of hack on the other. Why is actually also this sort of great application for crypto, because it actually takes it away from being just a pure speculative asset, or being just again degraded to sort of only purely investable asset, right? So we heard T-bills, financial assets, all this kind of stuff. Interesting, no matter what, right? But I need to say, when I entered crypto about 30 years ago, I saw the future of Web3 more in sort of how can this technology help us every day? How can this really sort of improve of the sales tool that we have? And it would be a shame if this is just tied into ETFs, ETPs, and what else, financial instruments, just to say again, okay, it's just another wrapper, around sort of existing stuff that we already know. So Web3 is actually much more powerful, and it is actually a very good sort of technology to assist sort of energy, mobility, and sort of data economies that we have in this space. Also, CC is says not too long ago that actually the currency for AI is really crypto. That makes sense. When you think about, for example, energy economies, right? There are some issues that we have with current systems, right? It's mostly unstable, there's rising demands, highly centralized, it's very slow to adapt. Sometimes some processes are still done by hand. There are Excel spreadsheets that being sent out from one end to the other. So it's really super inefficient, what I have to say. And we've seen just the case of this just this year, we've seen Portugal that this week, Berlin is suffering a major outage. And actually putting this energy sort of system actually on the decentralized grid could make sense, makes also more secure. And we can actually also think about sort of all the kind of interactions that we could also have on such a grid. So for example, we can think about sort of the machines who actually trade in real time on the decentralized grid via crypto. That vehicles can sort of service energy back to the grid. We can have solar panels that can actually also connect power to sort of our neighbors' battery systems. So So a lot of sort of use cases that we can think about where this actually plays quite nicely. So we can see also that energy devices or any machines really can become results participants in such a system. And digital assets can actually be used to settle these transactions. Because again, it's transparent, seamless, trustless, and secure. So this leads to sort of benefits. We can really think about sort of if we have a fully decentralized network where machines can be sort of onboarded into the system, where we can actually also transact with each other, where they can also sort of let new machines in based on certain criteria, that we actually generate much greater efficiencies. And we can also generate strong incentives for sort of green energy adoption, but also sort of for all participants in such a system at large. When we think about AI and data, it's also actually a very interesting vertical of the machine economy. There are many more use cases, right? But I really think of some energy and AI and data because it's sort of the most immediately that will impact us in the years to come. And we need to always think about sort of what is the data that actually AI has been trained on, right? So, for example, last 3 months, right? So, then it was a good idea to do sort of ChatGPT or other LLMs, for example, start coding for that, right? But some people didn't quite realize that actually part of the data that has been used to train such coding LLMs in part was also taken from malicious code, because actually AI at that moment couldn't really distinguish between, okay, what is actually code that I really would like to have, and what is code that I don't want to have, right? So people who are using this early on actually introduced the malicious code into sort of the software systems. So we should always keep in mind what is the data that has been used to train a particular LLM or a particular application. And it really makes sense that you can also sort of, again, trace back where sort of the data came from. Really putting a wrapper around also crypto, we can also think about sort of systems where data is no longer to companies, platforms, but we can really open it up and bring sort of the whole data economy to the system. So thinking again about sort of machine economy context here, we can think about IoT sensors that will actually acquire really weather data and that will then help AI forecast the systems. Or we can think about self-driving cars, right? That will actually purchase real-time traffic data, settlements and stuff sitting out in cars. And then also think about, okay, what is my optimum route to actually navigate myself through sort of the whole system. It's also sort of where you can see that this can again work completely seamless without any human interaction. You have a set of rules that the AI has been trained on, again, thinking about the data that's behind it. And machines don't need to wait for us to say like, okay, yeah, that's fine. They just act on certain sort of algorithms, certain sort of boundaries, and they will just do the thing they should do. So what is, again, sort of the kind of benefits of such? Well, if you think about the Web3 context, right? So we have a fair value distribution, right? Because people and devices can be compensated accordingly, automatically, and also in these sort of reference of data sets. It can enable AI to AI economy, so AI agents are more on the rise. Obviously, there's still a lot that we need to think about AI technology in that sense, right? So I think people think still that AI is more powerful than what it actually is able to do still. So they have still very narrow rules about and so you can really see that sort of all stakeholders in the system would really sort of benefit from a Web3 backdrop. In the future, it's something that you also need to consider. Machines will set to improve human lives, right? So we have to assert that there are many use cases that make sense, where we also be attached where machines can basically take over most processes, and then sort of we can focus on the most important things, whatever that is, right? So I just recently read also in children's books about robots, where it said like, robots will suddenly, clean up, will play with kids and stuff like that, so that people have more time. And you always want sort of more time for what, right? So will it improve our lives? Depends, right? It also depends on how we actually build sort of the whole machine economy grids around us, right? So what are the set of rules that such a system will follow or not follow? Will we go more through sort of the EM movement, which is basically going full on into sort of less regulated environment, so that let's accelerate innovation and what? Or are we going more defensive routes with the EM movement, where it's like, okay, maybe we should take a step back, think about sort of where we actually want to head. What is actually the ideal scenario where actually machines and human beings can live sort of next to each other in a very sort of favorable way, and how sort of should we set the rules and also the implement. And again, here is an case for Web3 that makes it possible that this is a secure temporal system, if we set it correctly, but it also lines up with incentives for every participant in this economy. And that, thank you for your attention.